Welcome to Psych with Sigmund, the show where we dive into the fascinating world of psychology and explore the complexities of the human mind. I'm your host, Sigmund, and today we're going to talk about a phenomenon that affects us all, the Barnum Effect. So, what is the Barnum Effect? In everyday language, it's the tendency for people to accept general or vague descriptions as accurate and personalized, even when they could apply to almost anyone. This concept is named after P.T. Barnum, the famous showman who was known for his ability to create illusions and deceive audiences. But why is this concept important in psychology? The answer lies in its relationship to human thought, emotion, and behavior. The Barnum Effect emerged in psychological theory in the 1950s, when psychologist Bertram Forer conducted a series of experiments that demonstrated how people would accept general descriptions as accurate, even when they were not tailored to their individual characteristics. This concept has since been extensively studied and has become a fundamental aspect of our understanding of human psychology. From a theoretical perspective, the Barnum Effect can be explained by several psychological frameworks. One major theory is the Forer effect, which suggests that people tend to accept general descriptions because they are looking for meaning and significance in their lives. Another theory is the concept of apophenia, which refers to the tendency for people to see patterns or meaning in random or vague information. Our understanding of the Barnum effect has evolved over time, with researchers identifying key factors that contribute to its occurrence. For example, research has shown that people are more likely to accept general descriptions when they are presented in a way that is perceived as authoritative or expert. Additionally, studies have found that people's tendency to accept general descriptions can be influenced by their level of self-esteem, with individuals who have lower self-esteem being more susceptible to the Barnum effect. But what does the research say about the Barnum effect? One classic study conducted by Forer in 1948 involved giving a personality test to a group of students and then providing each student with a general description of their personality. The descriptions were actually identical, but the students were told that they were tailored to their individual results. The students overwhelmingly accepted the descriptions as accurate, even though they could have applied to anyone. More recent research has continued to support these findings. For example, a study published in 2019 found that people who were given general descriptions of their personality traits were more likely to accept them as accurate when they were presented in a way that was perceived as scientific or expert. Another study found that the Barnum effect can be used to influence people's behavior, with individuals who were given general descriptions of their strengths and weaknesses being more likely to engage in behaviors that were consistent with those descriptions. So, how can understanding the Barnum effect help us in our everyday lives? For one thing, it can make us more skeptical of generic descriptions or advice that seem too good to be true. It can also help us develop a more nuanced understanding of ourselves and others, recognizing that personality traits and characteristics are complex and multifaceted, rather than simplistic or one-size-fits-all. For example, imagine you're browsing online and come across a personality test that promises to reveal your unique strengths and weaknesses. The test asks you a series of questions and then provides you with a detailed description of your personality traits. But if you look closely, you might notice that the description is actually quite general and could apply to anyone. That's an example of the Barnum effect in action. Therapeutically, understanding the Barnum effect can be useful in helping people develop a more realistic and balanced sense of self. By recognizing how our minds can be influenced by suggestions and expectations, we can work to develop a more authentic and grounded sense of identity, less susceptible to external influences or manipulation. In conclusion, the Barnum effect is a fascinating psychological concept that reveals the complexities of human thought, emotion, and behavior. By understanding this phenomenon, we can become more aware of our own biases and expectations, develop a more nuanced understanding of ourselves and others, and avoid falling prey to misleading information or scams. As you go about your daily life, pay attention to how often you encounter generic descriptions or advice that seem tailored to your needs. Ask yourself whether these descriptions are truly personalized or if they're just examples of the Barnum Effect in action. By being more mindful of this phenomenon, you can develop a more critical and nuanced understanding of the world around you. That's all for today's Psych with Sigmund. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.